This is another in the series of videos that will introduce you to the BOUS system DSD route accounting for Android. In this video we're going to create invoices and credit memos and orders. To create those transactions you'll need to go into the sales option, so we'll choose the sales button. That'll take us into the sales module. The module right now is showing no transactions in it, so we'll just run our start a day. We're ready to start our day. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a new transaction by hitting the new button. When the new button is selected, you'll have the option to either enter an invoice or credit memo or a payment. The invoice option, since I'm in a mode that we call orders with confirmation, what it really is going to allow you to do is all the transactions will start as an order, or the sales transactions will start as an order, and then you have the opportunity to confirm it or turn it into an invoice. So this sales invoices in this mode is really talking about orders and invoices. So we'll select the OK button to say we want to start that order, and then it'll bring us up to the customer list. And in an earlier video we discussed the navigation of the customer list, talked about how you can filter and sort the list, so I won't go through that in this video. In this particular option here, we've got it set for our Monday delivery day, and it's in delivery order, so we have the list sorting by the way that we want to service our customers for today. So the first customer that we're going to choose is our Village Market customer. We'll select them by hitting the arrow button, and that will take us into a screen where it's right now set up for doing what we call auto prompting. I'm going to cancel that or not go through this process in this video, but what that process is designed to do is allow you to use the customer's history to present you with a list of products that you can select from, almost like a pick list. In this example I wanted to walk through how do you scan or how do you select the products manually. So I just hit the cancel button to take us directly into the invoicing screen. You can also set it up so that auto prompting isn't turned on at all, and it'll just take you right into this screen. We'll do another video that will walk through the auto prompting. So in this screen the layout is essentially you've got your buttons at the bottom that allow you to take action to create this transaction. You'll be able to scan or add or edit. You can look at the customer's history from here and save or cancel if you need to go out of this transaction without actually having it saved. Next you'll see the data entry fields where you can have the product code entered and then put in your quantity. It'll come up with the proper price for that customer. Above that you have the option to do a return or what I call a net invoice. So in the earlier screen we talked about creating a credit memo as a separate document or an invoice as a separate document. If you have the system set up where you can do a net invoice, or the customer allows you to do a net invoice, by turning on this checkbox that'll allow a credit line item to be entered in along with the sales transactions you're putting in. And then above that will be the area where the line items for this invoice will appear, and you'll see that as we start adding lines in. So what we're going to do first is we'll scan the product or scan the barcode to select the product, and you can see there's a scan button down here, and there's a little green icon that is telling you that the scanner is active. If that was red, then that would tell you that the scanner for some reason is not active, and you'll want to take a look and see if the device needs to be reset so that the scanner is available. But by just pressing on that scan button and selecting the barcode or pointing at the barcode, it'll select that product, and when you get the confirmation beep that it was able to get a good read, what you'll see is it'll have the product description at the top. It'll have the product code that the barcode represents in the product field, and then the quantity, and you have the ability to enter in the quantity, and it has the correct price for this customer. So I'm going to type in the number 10 for my quantity, and then we'll hit enter. I didn't mention too that if you have inventory turned on, you can see the truck quantity here, so that we know if you have enough products to actually sell, or the quantity that you're trying to sell is what you should have available to sell. So we're going to go ahead and either hit the add button here on the screen, or the little checkbox button at the bottom will do the same as an add. So if I hit that check button, it'll record that line item, it'll put it at the top of the screen. There we can see the product code for the product, the description, the quantity that we entered, and then again the customer's price. If you decide not to scan, or if you wanted to select the product from the product list, in an earlier video we showed the navigation of the product list, and I think you've seen the button that's got the dots on it that will take you into that product list. So that's what this button here is representing. We wanted to manually select a product, tap on that button, and then that would present us with the product list. Again, I won't go through the actual layout of this screen of the navigation, but we have the ability to sort it and filter it so that we can get the product that we actually want to sell to this customer. So I'm going to go ahead and sell them a half gallon of 1% by selecting that product, and it'll bring that product up on the screen. In the quantity field, we want to type in our quantity, and we'll type in the number 12, so 12 units at $1.69, and then again we can just hit the add button or the check, and we'll hit the check here, and now that's our second line item. And then finally we'll enter in one more product. Now another way besides scanning or choosing the product list or choosing from the product list is if you know the code. So there may be products that you're familiar with, and instead of taking the time to select it manually, if you don't have the ability to scan it, then what you can do is just type in the code. And if you tap on the product code field, the keyboard becomes available. In this case it's product number 312, so I'm going to type in 312, and then I just hit the enter, and I can put in my quantity. In this case we'll use 6 of those, and then just enter that line. So now we've got our 3 lines that we've entered in for this customer, and if that was all that we're selling to this customer, what you can see now, we've got the 3, it tells us the number of lines we've entered, the number of units that are going to be sold to this customer, and then the total for this customer. At the top we're seeing the price as the unit price. If we wanted to see the extended price, then this unit price button that's above the price field, that's a toggle button, and if you tap on that, that'll toggle over to the extended price, so that way you can see what the total value of the products you're selling to that customer are for that particular product. So now that we've entered in our line items, we're going to save this, and when we save it, it's going to ask us if we want to confirm the invoice quantities. And what that's saying is we're in the invoice with confirmation, so we're as an order right now. If we say we don't want to confirm the quantities, then that's going to stay as an order. If we do confirm the quantities, then it turns it into an invoice. So we'll say yes to that. The second quantity field appears, so you can see that you confirm these lines. And then when we hit save, it will ask us in this case to collect this for this customer. So this is a cash customer. We're being reminded to make sure to collect payment for this customer. We'll clear that message, and then that invoice transaction will appear at the top of the list. I'm going to go ahead and do a signature capture on this transaction, and then we'll print it. So the signature capture, since you've entered it, it's highlighted and ready to have action taken on it. So we'll do the signature capture. And when the signature capture comes up, we'll just say John, and we'll say we're done with that. If you don't like the way that the signature came out, if the customer wants to re-enter their customer name or signature, they can hit the clear button. That'll clear it out and give them an opportunity to try signing it again. But normally folks just hit the done button and accept the signature. And now that you've got the signature, and like we showed in the earlier video, the little squiggly line appears next to it. It's still highlighted because we haven't printed it yet, and so when you print it, that's when the highlighting will disappear. So with it highlighted, it knows what buttons should become available to you. When you hit the print button, it'll ask you to print. Now I don't have this printer here with me, so it'll default to the printer that you'll have with you, and you should just be able to hit yes here with the number of quantity or copies. If you had 2 copies set up as your default, the number 2 would appear here for that printer. I'm going to hit the drop down here and send this to a PDF since I don't have a printer right now, and we'll say yes to that, and that'll print that. So once that's done printing, then the highlighting will disappear from the top, and you're ready to go on to your next customer or your next transaction. I'm going to do a credit memo for this customer as well, so we're going to return some product, and so we're going to go in here and say new, and then we're going to choose the transaction type. So in this case it's going to be a credit memo. We'll say OK to that. And in this customer list we can see there's a little check on that customer since we've already serviced them, but we can do more than one transaction for a customer in a day. So we'll choose that customer again. And then when that comes up, you'll see that it took us right into the invoicing screen. And now the returns checkbox is turned on and grayed out. So that tells us we're in credits mode. At the top, it'll also say CRD for credit. So that'll let you know the transaction type and the number that's going to be chosen. I'm going to select the product manually. I could scan it, as we did earlier, but in this case, we'll go through an example of selecting a product from a category. So if I say I want to select this product, I've got my cheese group selected, and I'm going to return some cottage cheese that's out of date. So we'll choose that group, and that'll then filter that list down to just the cheese products, and the 16-ounce low curd cottage cheese or low cal cottage cheese is what we want. So we'll choose that product, and then we'll put in our quantity, and we're going to take back 2 of those from the customer. When you put in the quantity and then hit the enter key or the add button, it's going to present you with a window that's asking you for the reason for this return. And so this drop-down box here on this screen will allow you to choose the reason, and that reason will not only give the customer a description of why they got the return, but it will also designate whether this product goes back into inventory or not. Is it something you can resell, or is it maybe damaged or out of date where we don't want to resell it? So I'm going to leave this as out of date or choose the out of date. It's going to show me here that this is not going to be added back to inventory. If I had chosen the overstock, for example, then that'll tell me or confirm that that particular return code is going to go back into inventory. So we'll leave this at out of date and say OK. That appears at the top here. I didn't make a note that on the last invoice the color was black and the quantity was positive. Since this is a return, we also show it as a red line item and a negative in the quantity. So we're going to go ahead and then save this. Again, since we're in orders of confirmation mode, we're going to be asked to confirm it if we want to turn it into an invoice, so we'll say yes to that. And now that order is ready to be saved as an invoice. It'll take us back here again. Don't forget to collect payment. We'll do that in a different video. But now that's also ready to have signature capture and collect, or excuse me, and then print it. So if we go ahead and we'll just do our signature capture. We'll say John and say done, and then we'll print that. And I will again send that to a PDF. You wouldn't normally have to do that. You just accept the printer that you've got attached to your handheld. And then that credit memo has been done. The last transaction we'll do here is an order. So we're going to go through the same process that we did when we were creating an invoice, but instead of confirming it, we'll just save it and say we don't want to confirm, and you'll see that that'll create an order transaction. So we'll just do our new. We'll choose our invoice. And then we'll go to our next customer, Stewart Drug, that we want to do the order for. And again, we'll just select a product. I'll just select it manually here. I'm going to turn off the group so that we get back to our entire list. And we'll say we want to do our chocolate milk. And maybe we want to do 12 of those. And then we'll select another product here. And we'll do our half gallon of 1%. And let's say we want to do 10 of those. And maybe that's all we want to do for this order right now. So we're going to save that order. And now it's asking us to confirm we want to turn it into an invoice. And since I know I want to do an order for this, I'm going to say no, I don't want to confirm it. And that now creates the order transaction, which you then have the ability to take action on. If you wanted to print that, you can do print just like we did with the invoice. So we'll go ahead and it's asking me for the type of order format. I haven't selected the order format yet. Normally that would just default to the one that's set up for your install. And then we'll go to printer that we want to do. Again, you would normally just select the printer that's attached to your device. Go ahead and print it. And then you're good to go. So that's the process of creating an invoice, a credit memo, and an order. And in the next video, what we'll do is we'll produce an invoice using that auto prompting feature that uses the customer history instead of manually selecting or barcode scanning.